You're listening to Four Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast.
Today is Wednesday, April 29th. I'm Johnny Kahner. Thank you for listening to Four Things to Know. Let's get to our top story today. One person is dead and an officer is recovering in the hospital following an early morning shootout on Richfield's west side. Our Adam Duxter has been following this story all day today. Here's his report from about noon.
BCA still on scene processing here off of 76th in Oliver on Richfield's west side. We're told this all actually started, though, a couple of blocks away to the east when just before 4 a.m. today, police say someone there called to report someone going through cars in the street. Police say they came and that's when they found the person and chased them here. And that's when they say both sides started shooting. Police said in a statement this morning that the person they were chasing had pulled out a gun. And they don't say who shot first, but officers say the police and that person shot at each other, with police shooting and killing that one person and one officer shot in the hand, taken to a local hospital. And this was the scene outside HCMC when an officer showed up there this morning. In a statement to WCCO, Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty says that officer is getting treatment and is expected to be released. She says her condolences are with the family of the person who was killed as well. State investigators with the BCA will now take over this investigation, which is commonplace and common practice anytime a police officer shoots and kills someone. We have been in contact with the BCA and asked them a number of questions we're hoping to hear answers for. We'll bring the latest we know tonight in the news at 5 and 6.
Number 2 today, a very scary crash. A head-on collision in Montevideo injured 6 people, including 5 kids. One of the people inside that vehicle had to be extricated. Police did not say who. The driver had to be airlifted by helicopter due to severe injuries. The city's police department says it all happened last night around 5:15. Now, all 6 people that were injured were in the same vehicle. Police say the driver of the other vehicle was not hurt. Montevideo, if you have not heard of it, that's about 130 miles west of Minneapolis. Now, we are waiting to learn more today. We do know everyone was taken to the hospital that was injured. We'll certainly keep you updated tonight on WCCO. Number 3 today, the ringleader of the massive Feeding Our Future fraud scheme is facing new allegations. Prosecutors believe Amy Bach orchestrated a plan from behind bars to have her son leak sensitive details. According to the new court filings, Bach allegedly told her college-age son to download sensitive documents and interviews tied to her federal case and send those to lawmakers and members of the media using a fake email address. Prosecutors say some of the documents were under court order and never should have been shared publicly. They argue the leaks could harm witnesses and even the integrity of the case. Now, they are asking a judge to sanction Bach and restrict her communications ahead of sentencing. This motion was filed yesterday, and prosecutors say Bach is, quote, using these protected materials solely for the improper purpose of waging a public relations campaign in advance of sentencing, rehashing her failed, self-serving trial defense, close quote. They went on to say that she is sadly using her own son to violate the court's order and corrupt the legal process. Bach's attorney, however, tells us she meant no harm and is crying for help and wants the whole truth out. Her next motion hearing is tomorrow, and sentencing is scheduled for May 21st. Number 4 today, the Minnesota Supreme Court affirmed Adam Fravel's murder conviction. This comes after he requested a new trial and reversed convictions for the murder of Madeline Kingsbury. Fravel was found guilty in 2024 of 2 murder charges in the first degree and 2 in the second degree in the death of Kingsbury. She went missing in 2023 and was found dead 2 months later in a rural area near Winona. And today, the Minnesota Supreme Court agreed with the jury's conviction that Fravel premeditated and intended to kill Kingsbury. Those are the 4 things to know today. Now let's check in on our next weather forecast.
Hi, I'm next weather meteorologist Lisa Meadows. Get ready for a chilly night tonight. We're down to 35, your overnight low. Tomorrow, back up to 54 underneath partly cloudy skies.
And now, here's more to know.
We're following a big jump in Minnesota gas prices. Yeah, not ideal. I actually have to fill up after work today. I'm not looking forward to it. Today, AAA says the state's average price of a gallon of regular unleaded gasoline, $3.93. That's up 13 cents in just one day. The national average is $4.23, up 5 cents from yesterday. Oil prices rose to around $115 a barrel today as the U.S. continues to block the Strait of Hormuz. And Barrett Leone is following this today for us. She has an update on the growing cost of the war with Iran.
The House Armed Services Committee is holding a hearing today. Now, this morning, the chief financial official for the Pentagon was asked how much the military is spending on this war.
So approximately at this day, we're spending about $25 billion on Operation Epic Fury. Most of that is munitions. There's part of that it's obviously O&M and equipment replacement.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is also testifying in this hearing. He was asked how much it will cost Americans in terms of their increased costs in gas and food over the next year because of the war with Iran.
I would simply ask you what the cost is of an Iranian nuclear bomb.
I'm going to give you that opportunity.
I would simply ask you what the... you're playing gotcha questions about domestic things. I'm not...
You're saying it's a gotcha question to ask what it's going to be in terms of the increased cost of gas.
Why won't you answer what it costs to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb?
I give you that, sir. But let me...
What would it cost? What would you pay to ensure Iran doesn't get a nuclear bomb? What would you pay?
I reclaim my time. Do you not know? You had no one do the analysis of what the increased cost of gas and food on the American people are going to be?
What is the cost of Iran holding that strait at issue with nuclear weapons?
It's $631 billion, which means it's an increase of $5,000 a year.
That's just one of the tense exchanges we've heard today. This is the first time Secretary Hegseth has testified since the start of the war with Iran.
Back here in Minnesota, we have an update for you on the fraud crisis. FBI and HSI agents handled coordinated raids at childcare and autism centers across the metro yesterday. They were seen going in and out of several of these care facilities carrying boxes of evidence while taking photos. Yesterday's raids follow allegations tied to fraud in the Child Care Assistance Program. It's a program that, according to industry leaders, is a safety net for low-income families. Claire Sanford with the Minnesota Child Care Association says one major concern is good ethical providers walking away as these raids happen.
We have had those experiences of people outside of law enforcement feeling emboldened to take matters into their own hands and really do awful things to terrorize child care providers.
5 autism sites were raided yesterday, all of which use state dollars to help people with autism under the age of 21. Each of them gets hundreds of thousands, if not millions, in reimbursements every year. Both state and federal officials believe all 5 are getting that money fraudulently. Whether or not these are legitimate businesses will ultimately be decided in the courts. Now, there were no arrests or formal charges yesterday, but we will, of course, continue to follow this situation as the fraud crisis crackdown continues. And sticking on that same subject, fraud was a focus in last night's State of the State address with Governor Tim Walz.
People who have ripped us off are getting caught, and they are going to jail, just like today.
Throughout that speech, Governor Walz insisted he has worked hard to combat the fraud that has overwhelmed so much of our state. But after the speech, Republicans said the governor's actions are too little, too late. We heard from Speaker of the House, Lisa Damoth.
Just hearing from the governor, what I would say is the state of Minnesota is somewhat disappointing.
This was Governor Walz's last address as governor, as his second term will end in about 8 months. To another story today that we're following, we know many people listen to podcasts like this one when they're driving. You might be in the car right now, and a change in the law for drivers could actually mean a safer bus stop for kids. An update in the language requires drivers to stop 20 feet from a school bus when they see the red lights flashing. It doesn't matter if the stop arm is fully out or not, and drivers must also stay stopped until the lights are no longer flashing. We heard from Lieutenant Brian Rue with the Minnesota State Patrol.
Because from behind the wheel, you don't always see everything. You can't see the child that's about to step off the bus. You may not see the child that's about to cross in front of the bus. You can't predict what a child is going to do next.
There is a $500 fine for anyone caught passing or not stopping for a bus with its red lights flashing. I want to take you over to the state capitol now, where it's Disability Advocacy Day. And one of the big issues this community is talking to lawmakers about is accessible transportation. They have been working on 3 bills, and we spoke with Rob Wudlick. He is a disability advocate.
We're working on ride shares, trying to get a surcharge to get accessible transportation for taxis and Uber, Lyft, more vehicles out there on the road for us. We're working on autonomous vehicle regulation to make sure that when they come to our state, we'll have accessibility met and safety needs. And we're also looking to improve accessible parking spots, so more of those.
Wudlick urges people with transportation issues to continue writing, meeting, and calling their state lawmakers. Let's talk sports. What a win for the Minnesota Wild last night, and they have a chance tomorrow night to do something they have not done since 2015. Advance to the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Yeah, last night in Dallas, Game 5, a big 4-2 win. Matt Zuccarello made his return to the lineup. He scored the team's first goal. Jesper Wallstedt was great in net. So the Wild are playing really, really good hockey right now. And tomorrow night in St. Paul will be absolutely electric. Hopefully they can get things done. That is at 6:30. Let's stick with sports, but we're going to head over to Target Center. The Timberwolves also can close out the Denver Nuggets tomorrow night. It is Game 6 as well. They have a 3-2 series lead, but one thing they're dealing with that the Wild are not, we know, of course, injuries. Yeah, Dante DiVincenzo ruptured his Achilles. He's obviously been out. He missed last game. And Anthony Edwards obviously is out. It's going to be really tough. I think they can do it, though. So the Wild and Wolves, 2 huge Game 6s tomorrow night. Let's hope they both win. The Twins are hosting the Mariners again today. They lost last night. They have now lost 10 of their last 11 games. The Frost open up the playoffs this weekend. We'll have more on them later this week. Really fun time right now in Minnesota sports.
It's time to take a breath with your Daily Bright Spot.
And as the Minnesota Vikings build their roster, so are the cheerleaders. Yeah, last night, the final round of auditions for the 2026 Minnesota Vikings cheerleading squad. And if you're watching us on YouTube right now, you just saw that took place at the Mall of America. So fans actually had a front row seat. And guess what? Our very own Marielle Mose was the host. So yeah, football season. It's fast approaching. We know the Vikings just had their draft. And actually today, in some minor news, they actually announced that they would be using a search firm to help them in their process with their next general manager. Well, I'm Johnny Kahner. This has been 4 Things to Know. We are here with the news you need every weekday afternoon by 3 o'clock. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for checking us out on YouTube. We will talk to you tomorrow.
Listen to 4 Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
Love podcasts? Love Minnesota?
Check out the WCCO podcast studio lineup.
Hear the top stories of the day with 4 Things to Know.
Discover top female athletes and teams from around the state on women in sports.
Dive into stories about faith and belief, from your local leaders to your neighbors next door, with bigger than belief.
Stay in the know on the go with the WCCO podcast studio. Go to WCCO.com/podcasts.